What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about 5 tips and tricks to up your product photography game. Taking good product photos doesn't always have to be a hard thing. You can even apply these tips and tricks even if you're shooting on an iPhone. Doesn't really matter. The tips I'm going to be covering today apply for both when you're shooting and also when you're editing. But before we get into it, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps out the channel, so I appreciate that. And if you haven't already, please check me out on Instagram at @NickCameron_. So tip number 1 is lighting. In my opinion, this is the most important tip that I have, because without good lighting, your photos are going to suck and look very unprofessional. Take an extra 5 to 10 minutes to light your scene, and you'll see what good lighting can actually do for your photos. So take a look at this shot. This is without any lighting. This is pretty boring, and honestly, it's not something that I would want to give to a brand that I'm shooting photos for. Set up a couple lights. This is the same shot, and you can see that it really does make a big difference. What lights you use isn't as important as actually using lights. Just being able to light your scene and add extra light to your product is going to make the biggest difference. Number 2 is go outside. Product photography doesn't always have to be indoors in a studio setting. One of the best things about product photography outdoors is it's free. Good product photos 9 times out of 10 will have cool background or props or things like that. Just go outside and look around, and I guarantee you can find a scene that fits your product. For an example, I did this shoot for Zen Water. I went down to the nearest beach by my house. I just waited for the water to come in, snapped a couple photos. I made a cool product photo without spending any money on a cool location or props inside or anything like that. Number 3 is props. This is pretty much an extension of tip number 2. It's one thing to take a picture of an object and just leave it as is, but adding accessories to your scene that fit the product, whether it's to accent product features or to fit the same mood as the product you're shooting. Now, a product alone is not always a bad thing. You can use that for eBay or Amazon or your product's website. Having props in the scene would be better for advertising or social media. Water and exercise go hand in hand. So for the same company I worked with, Zen Water, I took the water bottle inside. Now I placed it together with jump rope and some other fitness accessories, and it just makes for a more interesting image, which, like I said, is perfect for ads or social media. Tip number 4 is photo stacking. Photo stacking is one of my most used techniques when doing product photos. All you have to do is make sure your camera's on a tripod and you shoot the product in different lighting scenarios. So you light the background one way, you focus the light behind the image so you have some backlighting. Then you can light the front of the image, and these are all separate photos that you can take. Then you take the photos, put them in Photoshop as layers, and you blend them together to create one image. This is also a great way to cheat if you don't have multiple lights or a good lighting setup. If you have one light, you use it, move it around the scene, snap your photos, and then when you hop into Photoshop, you can actually just erase different parts of the image to create one seamless photo that's perfectly exposed. Once you take your images into Photoshop, you add them in as layers. You make sure they're all lined up and gently begin to erase parts of each layer that blend each lighting scenario to create one seamless image. Now, the same technique also works for focusing. You can focus on different parts of the image and as a whole combine them in Photoshop. This is so you can improve quality in your image and the product will be as crisp as humanly possible. Number 5 is presets. Now, this last tip is really a warning. You might want to add presets or filters to your images so that it fits your editing style better. But with product photos, you're working for the brand. So if you're normally a photographer that does more dark and moody photos, but for this particular image that might not work out. So you don't want to just slap one of your own presets or one of your go-to presets on the image. You're going to want to take your time with the image and start with your base adjustments and then add your creativity little by little on top of that. You don't want to overdo it with product photography. Sometimes a little goes a long way with creative edits. So just keep that in mind when you're editing photos for products. So I hope I was able to help some of you guys. Those are my 5 tips for product photography. If you use any of these techniques in your own photography, tag me in them on Instagram at @NickCameron. I would love to see them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.